Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. It's been quite the week, and we've got even more to talk about now with the latest this week at Bungie. We got the raid coming out on Friday, faction rallies next week with the quality of life improvements, and the dawning most likely coming the week after that. A lot to go over, so let's jump into it. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with Eater of Worlds. The raid Lair will be launching tomorrow morning at 10 AM Pacific. We saw a small glimpse of what we can expect in the Curse of Osiris launch trailer, but I really doubt that we've seen anything too important. Like I mentioned in my coverage of that video, I think we've only seen either the entrance or the sort of underbelly area of that raid Lair. Tomorrow is a big day for Destiny raids because we're going to finally see whether or not raid lairs are viable in the long run, since we're not getting another full-fledged raid until probably next fall. And of course you can expect guides on those encounters on this channel in the coming days. Next up, we have some information on Destiny Update 1.1.1. This is going to be the sort of quote-unquote quality of life update coming on Tuesday, and it's going to include a lot of really cool stuff, like being able to purchase items directly from the vendors, and of course the new Masterwork legendary weapon system. This is of course going to provide us with some optional endgame pursuits, and if the weapon forge system is any indication, I expect that grind to be very real. And while we're on the topic, I did put a video together going over the forge system in much more detail over on a new channel that I've partnered with, Omnislash. They're primarily a Hearthstone channel, but they just launched an FPS channel, and I'm happy to announce that I'll be doing videos there on the weekly. If you want to check out the videos I've posted over there so far, I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description. I like posting videos there because it's sort of an in-depth look on a particular topic. In this case, we're talking about the forge system. But anyways, we can expect full patch notes on Destiny Update 1.1.1 next week when it deploys. Moving on from that, we have the faction rally returning next week. I personally thought we would be getting the dawning next week, but since there's no mention of it in this week at Bungie, it will most likely launch the Tuesday after that and run through January 9th. But back to the faction rally, this time around we have ornaments to play for. Not only that, but there's a good chance that we'll be able to purchase items directly from the faction vendors. And looking at the ornaments, I have to say they look pretty awesome, especially the ones for New Monarchy. I really want to get my hands on that Hunter Cloak. Now, as always, there's going to be very special weapons that we can earn if the faction of our choosing wins the rally. And this time, it's auto rifles all around. For Dead Orbit, we see an auto rifle from Weist. For Future War Cult, we have a auto rifle from the Tower set. And then finally, for New Monarchy, we have one from Haka. Moving on, let's talk about continuing issues with this game and its reception in the community. The first topic of conversation is players that are locked out of prestige activities for not owning Curse of Osiris. As you may or may not know, the power cap has been raised to 335 with the release of Curse of Osiris. However, if you don't own the expansion, then you're not able to progress forward. You're kind of stuck at 305, which for the most part is fine. However, prestige activities have also been brought forward in power. They now require a recommended power of 330 to complete, which is not something you can do if you don't own Curse of Osiris. So you're essentially locked out of any prestige activities, and as a result are also locked out of the trophy for them. So as of right now, if you don't have Curse of Osiris, you have no way of completing the prestige trophy or achievement. Luckily, Bungie did mention this in This Week at Bungie, and they are currently investigating a solution, according to them. This is sort of the double-edged sword that they didn't have to deal with in Destiny 1 because they didn't bring forward the activities. In Destiny 1, the raids stayed the level that they were. They didn't scale upward. This of course meant that you were able to continue playing vanilla activities without owning the DLC. In Destiny 2, after player feedback, all of the activities have been brought forward to match the power level. Now, there's no real solution to this because I want them to continue to scale activities forward. The only fix I can think of is for them to make leveling up and power progression free. This means that while you won't have access to new strikes and new levels, you will still be able to play with your friends in old activities. But anyways, I really hope that they come to a solution by next week. Moving on, we have some news about the Prometheus lens issue. As you may be aware, the Prometheus lens is a brand new trace rifle introduced into the game with Curse of Osiris. Not only that, but the weapon is absolutely broken as it delivers way too much DPS. Sadly, I have yet to receive one myself, but I did play some Crucible with some clanmates last night, and I was just in awe. I could not believe how easy it was to just absolutely melt people. Now, a lot of people were expecting that Bungie would be cancelling Trials of Osiris until they fix this weapon, but it turns out that's not the case. Trials of Osiris will be continuing as usual. Bungie is definitely well aware of this and is issuing a fix to reduce the DPS next week with update 111. Now, the final topic I want to touch on in this week at Bungie is they're talking about raid loot. When talking about how Masterwork is just their first step in fixing a lot of reward issues in the endgame, they stated this. Planned for early 2018, we'll be looking at how raid rewards can be updated to create more meaningful experiences. How exactly this will be realized in-game is something we'll detail closer to deployment, but this is one example of feedback being investigated by our team. We'll talk more about the changes you can look forward to in the new year once it arrives. So I'm going to take this as some pretty good news. If any of you have spent any time in my Twitch stream, you'll know that I'm very passionate about the raid loot system and how much I'm disappointed in it. I believe they spent the last 3 years perfecting the system only to just throw it all away. In my opinion, Wrath of the Machine had the best raid reward system in the entire game. It was a very rewarding and methodic system that was backed with some really awesome weapons. So I really hope that they take a long hard look at not only the raid reward system, but also the endgame reward system in general, and try to come up with a solution that feels cohesive. They have a really solid foundation, and I don't want them to break that just to fix things. I actually don't dislike the token system, I just think it shouldn't be the primary source of gear, it should just be an extra thing on the side. For the most part, we should have driven pursuits, and I have to say, the weapon forging system that is currently with Curse of Osiris is a really good look at what that could look like. Anyways, I'd love to know your thoughts on the current state of Destiny 2. If you could pick out the worst part of the game right now, what would it be? And what would you do to fix it? Let's discuss. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time.